Okay, so I'm hoping this works out for everybody and everyone can see this nice and clearly. I've done videos before, and then I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but you go to upload it and like the quality is just not as good as you wanted it to be. So here's hoping this works out. So I thought I would do a little video on painting with India ink. So a lot of the pieces that I make use fabric, embroidery, and paper. And so the fabric gives everything some texture and depth and interest, and same with the embroidery. But a lot of the pieces that where I get sort of the uniqueness in the work is through more the illustrative work that I do. So I thought maybe I'd share a little bit as to how I work with that, and just basically what materials I use and essentially how I use them. The thing about doing a lot of this is it's actually pretty user-friendly and beginner-friendly. It really just takes some time and some practice to get used to using some of these things. So something that was recently I learned about that's actually made a really big difference in some of my illustrative work is India ink. So this is Winsor & Newton India ink. And Sophie Blackall is a kids book illustrator that I really love. And I think she did a video, or is it somewhere I read that this is how she does her illustrative work to start, is using India ink. And ever since I gave that a shot, I've fallen in love with it, really. It's really made such a big difference in my illustrative work. So I actually didn't think about what am I gonna paint before I start this video. I really should have thought of that. Way to be incredibly organized there, Spearsy. But here we are. So I don't know about you, but I find a lot of times when I'm doing these videos, the paper shifts around. So I've got on the back of here just a little piece of painter's tape to hold everything in place. So, I mean, what should I draw? You know, I love drawing faces, and I have this specific sort of female character face that I tend to do. And watch, now that I'm as like doing a video, watch me like completely screw that up. That'd be great. That'd be classic. That'd be something I would do. I'm just gonna do something really like subtle and not terribly full of depth or interest, or of course, yeah, no, I don't like this already. Great. But hey, you know what? Now that I'm doing the video, honestly, I love to tell that to people, is just, we all screw up and we all make drawings and things that we don't like. And that is why there's this magical thing called an eraser. I like these really moldable, putty kind of erasers. Mine's really old and dirty, but I love it. And I've got paint on my hands, of course. Like, you know, this is life. But yeah, I mean, in reality, I spend all my time, most of my time, if I'm not with my children, I'm working in my studio. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I don't know if there's anybody more fun to impersonate than Celine Dion. Maybe Whitney Houston. I don't know. Who's your favorite person to like impersonate with singing? Let me know. There's a lot of them. Michael McDonald. I can't say I don't love impersonating Michael McDonald when he sings. It's pretty funny. A friend of mine, her dad, loves Michael McDonald. So it's just like, it's a fact anytime we go visit them. Not that we've been there anytime recently, because the world is what it is. He will always have Michael McDonald playing, and I just think Michael McDonald is a character. Do you guys even know who I'm talking about? Okay, so I mean, honestly, this face I'm not terribly pleased with. I would completely redo this. But for the sake of this video, It's like, hey, art person, show me how to draw and do stuff. And then I do it and I'm like, well, this is no good. I don't actually like this very much. But anyway, we're just gonna have some fun. For the sake of the video, showing you, I don't like this part here, I'm gonna have to erase that. Showing you how I work with India ink. And faces just seem like a given to me. Can you guys see that okay? Has anything shifted? Just checking. No, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We're good, we're good, we're good. We're all doing our best, aren't we? Okay, so I already have a dirty plate here. It's not the most dirty, but standard dinner plate. I actually took this out of my cupboard. So let's hope I get it really clean before we use it for eating. Don't be a guest at my house. I'll give you painty plates for dinner. Okay, and so I have taken a dab of my India ink. Here it is, right here. So this stuff is concentrated, it's really powerful. Go light, use a light hand, do not be heavy-handed with this stuff. What you can then do is add some water to it to water it down until you get a similar shade as to what you like. Tip, that's kind of a mess. Tip. Use a scrap of paper to test. Make sure you are actually happy with the tone that you're working with. Okay, so the reason, and normally I'd actually, and you can actually erase your eraser lines after you've painted with the India ink, which isn't that, I think it's brilliant. I mean, because sometimes I'm just an eager beaver. So I go in, I start to paint, and then I'm like, oh, well, darn me, I did not erase my pencil lines. What the heck? But you can actually erase them after, even though you've inked over them. All right, here we are. Not my best work, but you know what? We're learning. How many times can I make that excuse? It's a poor craftsman. Or what is it? Poor carpenter blames his tools. I'm not a carpenter, but you get my point. Okay, so you actually can use this, but you know, not my best drawing, but I think you kind of get an idea of how beautifully the ink soaks into the paper. I failed to mention I'm also using I'm just using some cold press Canson watercolor paper. It's about a 9x12, 300 gram Canson cold press watercolor paper. I'm not familiar with stretching paper. That's something that I want to learn. If you know all about it, let me know, because it's something new that I want to do a lot more, so my paper is not so puckered and wrinkled. But anyway, long story short, and I'm just gonna water down some more of the India ink here. And you can work with it to get some shadows. And the nice part is a lot of my work tends to be really tight. That means it's got tight detail. I'm not the best at being loose with my work. I really admire people that can do that. But I find with the India ink, I get to kind of experiment with that looseness and kind of get a little warmed up to where I'm gonna go with it. The brush I'm using is, of course, it's all scratchy, the number 6 Moderna. I think it's just a round water media brush. I didn't pay a lot for it. It's not expensive. I'm really hard on my brushes. I tend to let them sit in water, which you're not supposed to do. And I tend to absolutely butcher my paintbrushes. And then I'm cheap, so I don't like to replace them as much as I should. This one I've actually taken care of, this brush, because I like it. Okay, so I've shaded it in. There we go, lovely. If anyone's still watching. Okay, so what's great about using the India ink is you can actually go in with watercolor. So here's my palette. Not the fanciest, I'm missing one. It's held behind a painting and I'm not able to get to it right now. But anyways, just got this at Dessers. I think it's Mungio is how you pronounce it. Really good palette, really good watercolor palette. It's I think it's like $30 something, which isn't the worst, and I get a lot of use out of it. So brilliant. So what is so special about India ink? Now, normally I would let this dry for a much longer time than I have. This is like, what, been like a minute or two? Normally I'd let this have a drying time of about, I don't know, 10 to 20 minutes or even longer before I would go in with my water media. But I just wanted to show you or let you know really quickly, one of the reasons I love doing the shading with India ink is that once it's had a bit of drying time, you can go in with your lighter media, so your watercolor or your gouache, which is my favorite media to use, which actually I might switch over to. You can go in with that over top, and it gives such an amazing result. I think so anyway. I think it's just great. I'm in love with the result. So I'm just gonna reawaken some of my gouache here. Bear in mind, this is dry now on my plate. If I were to try and water that and reawaken my ink, you're gonna get a lot of flakes and chunks, which isn't such a bad thing. You can add some texture and some interest, but it's just an FYI. You will get flaky, chunky ink, whereas with your gouache, you're not gonna get that. So what is gouache? Maybe I'll do another video. I did a long time ago on what is gouache and why do I love it. It's an opaque, meaning thick, water media. So it's a watercolor paint that is nice and thick and very chalky. And lately I have been working with some acrylic gouache. So the reason why that's a bit fun, as opposed to the regular gouache is just like a watercolor that's like thicker. The reason why the acrylic gouache can be really enjoyable is if you want to varnish your piece, which sometimes I do. So this is gonna get a little bit gray because normally I would let this dry a lot more, but you can sort of get an idea that you can't just paint over top. So you can just paint over top of that ink. Here's our happy little tree. Yeah, so I've reawakened some of the ink, so it's grayed out my my gouache. So again, I would probably let that sit and just sort of dry and seep into the paper for longer than I am for this video. And then obviously I like to do a really intense cheek, low on the face. And this is a very standard character for some of my work that I do, which I don't know if you know this, but it's modeled after my great-grandmother, this wavy bobbed haired 1920s sort of gal. So I might do a time-lapse video now so I don't keep you forever on how I would finish out this piece, also letting that ink dry. But that is how I shade a face using India ink, and that is why I'm a fan of India ink. I have all different colors of India ink, so I might do another video. One of them's leaked. If this stuff leaks, it's a royal mess. I might do another video on how I paint other things using India ink. But there you go. Hopefully that was helpful. If so, let me know in the comments if you wish. No pressure. If there's something I left out or something else you'd like to know a little bit more about, ask away. Have a wonderful day and keep painting, guys. Take care.